As a world-famous author, I often get asked, hey, Bradford, what books should I get for that sailor in my life? So here are my recommendations for top 7 books for sailors. Hey there, How Not to Sailors. Bradford Rogers here, author of How Not to Sail, and spoiler alert as to what's going to be the bonus number 8 book in the list. But don't worry, you don't have to memorize any of these books because I will have links to all of them in the show notes below. And while you're down there, please hit the subscription button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of the cool stuff coming up. But the first book on my list is The Long Way by Frenchman Bernard Moitessier. If you had to pick one book to put in your sailing library, I would recommend this one. It's quite simply the most beautiful book on sailing I've ever read. Really got me into sailing, and for a while it got me thinking I wanted to do solo long-distance sailing. And then I regained my sanity. Right around 1967, I think, about the time we were getting ready to land on the moon or something, several of these fellows decided they would do a race around the world, non-stop, solo, unassisted, starting and ending in England, going down the Atlantic, and then the rules were you had to go under the 3 Great Capes, which is Cape of Good Hope, Cape Horn, and Cape Leeuwin in Australia that I can't pronounce really well. And this guy, Moitessier here, was probably in good shot of winning the race and decided to take another half lap around the world and end in Tahiti because he was a cranky fellow, much like myself. I highly recommend it. It's just an amazing piece of writing, and it really makes you want to go to sea. So if you got anybody you want to get rid of, just give them this book and they will go to sea and stay there. Or at least they'll be out of your hair for a while they're reading it. It's really awesome. Book number 2 is Biker to Sailor by Bob Bitchin. I don't seem to have it in hand here. There's a hard copy in the house, but I can't find it, so we'll go with the prefab graphic. I'm including it not just because Bob is the sponsor of my audio podcast through his magazine Latitudes and Attitudes, but because he is such a cool dude with an awesome story. Bob actually started Biker and Tattoo magazines, I believe, and used to be Evel Knievel's bodyguard. And actually, I'll have another link in the description down here about my interview with him where he's talking about that. But you can read a whole lot more about all that and how he got addicted to sailing and how it saved his life in Biker to Sailor. And I highly recommend it, as well as his magazine Latitudes and Attitudes. Book number 3 is a great coffee table book, and I have to thank my friend, former U.S. Navy sailor Harold Sellers, who's also an awesome video shooter and editor and adventurer. For this one, it is the Ashley Book of Knots. Harold recommended it, and the Admiral got it for me on my birthday, I think. Obviously, a great coffee table book, and there's like 3,000, 6,000 knots, splices, and other things in here illustrated. It will keep your favorite sailor occupied for a long time. Book number 4 on the list is Close to the Wind by Pete Goss. An amazing story of what happened after the first round-the-world race, which is described in The Long Way. They started having every 4 years the Vendée Globe race. Royal Marine Pete Goss went through all kind of stuff just to get into the race with his modest boat. And what he went through during the race, the heroism he displayed helping others in the race because there were some casualties and accidents is just amazing, and the horrific weather conditions. If you watch Deadliest Catch for the storms, you will appreciate this book. And if that's not enough, he ended up having to do surgery on himself on the way back. So definitely check that one out. Book number 5 on my list, maybe a little bit of an odd one. It's Bumfuzzle, the story of a couple that decided to go cruising around the world on a catamaran. There were a lot of naysayers that told them they shouldn't be doing it. They didn't have enough experience. And while I think there's some people that shouldn't be out there, there's a lot of people that want to throw a wet blanket on people that should be out there enjoying themselves. So I like where this book is. It's also interesting to me that this couple actually is not all that sociable, and like me, they get a little chapped when they pull into the perfect anchorage all by themselves and somebody decides that they need to park right next to them. I still don't understand that. Anyway, they sailed around the world in their catamaran. They had some adventures and misadventures and learned how not to sail, and it's a great read. I think they may also have a YouTube channel. If they do, I'll try and remember to put the link down below. By the way, if you're finding these book suggestions useful to you or somebody in your life, I hope you'll smash the like button down there. It won't cost you anything. It'll make me real happy. Book number 6 on my list is Sailing a Serious Ocean by John Kretschmer. John has over 300,000 miles of sailing experience under his belt. And if someone in your life or yourself is thinking about doing ocean passages, there is no one better to read than this fellow. He's a regular at all the cruising seminars and everything because he knows his stuff. And he's a great writer, so you can't miss out with that one. Before we get to number 7, I'd like to hear from you. What book did I leave out that should be in this list? That's my question for the day. Let me know in the comments below. Coming in at number 7 on the list is First You Have to Row a Little Boat by Richard Bode. And I have to thank Becky and Carnus for turning me on to this. It's really cool. It's got chapters like The Shortest Distance Between Two Points is a Zigzag Line, In Irons, Becalmed, Fogbound. Thing is, it relates each of these sailing things to something in actual real life, which seems like it could be kind of cheesy, but it's really awesome. I'm not necessarily an eat, pray, love type of fellow. That's not how this is, but it's really well done. If you enjoy a little hint of philosophy with your sailing, something for a great bedtime read, this is the one. I also want to mention a couple of series. Anyway, if you're an action-adventure type, these are really awesome. My two buds, Cap Daniels and Wayne Stinnett. Cap has the Chase Fulton series, and Wayne has the Jesse McDermott series. Some of Chase Fulton's adventures actually take place aboard a sailboat, whereas Wayne Stinnett's hero is aboard a stink pot, but I'll forgive that because Wayne sent me this great picture of him reading How Not to Sail, which brings me to my last bonus book. If you need something to help you sleep at night, I highly recommend How Not to Sail. I've accumulated over 5,000 miles now of sailing, and I've become something of an expert in how not to sail. And I try to share some of my mistakes with you right here with perhaps a little bit of humor so that you don't have to repeat my mistakes. So that's it for my list of 7 books plus 2 bonus series and my book that you might get for someone in your life who is a sailor and likes to read. Again, the links are in the description below. If you haven't already, click that subscription button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the cool interviews and features coming up soon. Thanks so much, and we'll catch you next time on How Not to Sail. Screwing up is part of cruising. Let me show you how.